Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning into today's video. We have more gaming and PlayStation news, rumours and leaks to go over. A huge shout out to the God of War and Uncharted channel members. Thank you ever so much for your support. And if you're new here to the channel, consider subscribing and becoming a channel member and get yourself some exclusive member perks. Right then, mark your calendars. The Future Game Show Summer Showcase is officially returning on June the 7th, 2025. This event has become a key date in the gaming calendar over the last few years, and it's once again set to deliver a packed lineup of reveals and updates. The showcase is part of what's shaping up to be a very busy summer for the gaming calendar. Alongside the Future Game Show, we'll also be seeing big presentations like the Xbox Games Showcase 2025, a dedicated Outer Worlds 2 Direct, and of course the Summer Game Fest 2025, which has become a central hub for major announcements across all platforms. And while full details are still under wraps, we don't know much about what's going to be turning up. Organisers have confirmed that we can expect world premieres, exclusive trailers and fresh game demos. These will come from some of the most creative and exciting studios in the industry, so there's definitely a lot to look forward to at the event. Now, Daniel Dawkins, who is the content director for the event, shared a bit of insight too. He described this year's show as the most ambitious one yet, emphasizing that the team's ongoing mission to spotlight upcoming games that are pushing the envelope, whether they're from big names or indie creators. But I guess he's going to have to say that, right? He's going to have to hype this showcase up. So if you're a PlayStation fan, the summer might be especially interesting too. Sony has been pretty quiet lately, but we do know they've got some very big hitters on the way, like Death Stranding 2 on the beach, and the mysterious Ghost of Yotei, which we haven't really seen much of. With all these other showcases happening, there's a strong chance we'll get to see some new updates or even some surprise announcements around these titles. Then again, Sony might hold off and wait for their own State of Play event to reveal a little bit more information. Either way, the summer is shaping up to be a huge moment for gaming in 2025, and the Future Game Show is hopefully one to watch. Do you think we're going to get some PlayStation games being revealed at the event? I do. I think we'll get some. Let me know in the comments, and let's move on. From BloodBorne to Sirius Studio. This is a new chapter for Teruyuki Toriyama. This is a name you might recognize if you're into PlayStation exclusives or From Software games. Now, Toriyama was a producer at Sony Japan Studio and worked on some legendary titles like BloodBorne, the Demon's Souls remake on PS5, Soul Sacrifice on the PS Vita, and even Astrobot Rescue Mission, which was a standout, an absolute stellar game on the PS VR lineup. Now he's moving forward with something new. Toriyama has co-founded a brand new game development company based in Tokyo called Sirius Studio. The studio will focus on developing what they call high-end console and PC games, and potentially even some VR projects a little bit further down the line. And the studio is actually a subsidiary of GZ Group, a company that's mostly been involved in mobile and VR titles up till now. So you can see there's potentially going to be some VR projects further down the line from the studio. This also marks their first serious push into the console and hardcore gaming space. Toriyama isn't doing this alone either. He's joined by Tomohiro Suzuki, who is serving as the president of Sirius Studio, and Hideki Iri, who is stepping into the shoes as vice president. Both of them have also been part of high-end game development teams in the past, and after leaving Sony Japan Studio in 2020, Toriyama joined a company called Third Verse, which was focused on VR titles, but over time Third Verse shifted its focus towards a more casual gaming audience. That didn't really align with what Toriyama and his colleagues wanted to do, which was build deeper and more immersive gaming experiences. So instead of sticking around, they made the decision to leave Third Verse on good terms, and they started their own thing. And according to Iri, their goal is to make games that make users' hearts shine, basically to create experiences that really stick with the players. Now, it's important to note that Sony eventually shut down its Japan studio, reportedly because it didn't want to keep investing in mid-sized AA projects. That closure might have played a role in this team's decision to strike out on their own and continue the kind of game development that they believe in. So with Sirius Studio now up and running, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with next. Given the team's past experience with big genre-defining games, expectations are extremely high. I mean, you got the guy who was involved with the creation of BloodBorne. I mean, you had me at BloodBorne. I'm in. I want to see what Sirius Studio is up to. They're on my radar and I cannot wait to see what they've got cooking. So let's move on. Now, if I was to tell you that Ubisoft is in hot water once again, would that really surprise you? Come on, be honest. This time, it's over how it handled shutting down the online racing game The Crew. If you remember, The Crew was taken offline in 2023, and that decision basically killed the game. So what's the issue, you may be thinking? You see, The Crew required an internet connection to Ubisoft service to even run. So once those servers were turned off, anyone who owned the game, whether they had a disc or bought it digitally, could no longer play it at all. People were understandably quite upset. Imagine spending your money on a game you thought you could revisit someday, only to find that it's been completely bricked. 2 players in particular got so pissed off they decided to take legal action. They're now suing Ubisoft, saying the company sold them something that came with an expiration date, even though that expiration date was never made clear up front. So what is Ubisoft's legal response? Now check this out. Their lawyers are arguing that players never had a right to unlimited ownership of the game. They never had a right. Absolute bollocks. No way. I'm not having that. If you've paid for something, it's yours forever. Basically, they're saying that when you buy a game like The Crew, you're only buying the right to play it while it's supported, not forever. That doesn't sound right to me. What do you think? I mean, sure, that might be in the fine print somewhere, but let's be honest, most people expect a game, especially one that includes a single player mode, to at least work in some form after its online features are switched off. I mean, sure, yeah, the online features might not work, but your physical game, if you purchased a physical copy, even if you bought a digital game, if you put it in, that should still work. Interestingly, the game's original developer, Ivory Tower, seems to understand the frustration of the players. They've promised that the Crew 2 and the Crew Motorfest will be updated to allow full offline play, avoiding the same issues in the future. To support their case, the players suing Ubisoft even submitted photos of the Crew's retail packaging. One detail stands out. The activation code on the box claims that it will not expire until 2099. That's 70 plus years from now. So the plaintiffs say that the wording clearly implies the game should be playable for a very long time. Ubisoft has now until the end of the month to officially respond in court. No matter how it turns out, the case could set an important precedent for digital game ownership going forward. I absolutely hope the plaintiffs win here. It's outrageous that any corporation can withdraw its services after people have paid for the game. Absolute ridiculous. Let me know what you think in the comments, and let's move on. Now, the following game has got a lot of people quite excited. Where Winds Meet. It's a sandbox RPG game developed by Chinese studio Everstone, and it draws heavily from a genre of Chinese fiction that features martial arts, ancient traditions, and rich storytelling. Everstone just announced that they are hosting a closed beta test from May 16 to 19, and it'll be available on both PC and PS5. This is a second closed beta for the game following the one they ran last year. The test will only be available in a few regions across the US, Canada, Japan, and Korea. So if you're outside of those areas, you might have to wait a little bit longer. The cool thing is there is no NDA, so testers who get to try the game are free to stream their gameplay or post their impressions online. However, it is worth noting that the progress made during the beta will not carry over into the full release. Now, Where Winds Meet takes place in a massive open world with over 20 square kilometers of explorable space, and that's just for the initial version. The world isn't just wide, it's also vertically layered, so there's going to be some underground sections, elevated terrains, and plenty of dynamic environments to explore. The game's main city, Bianjing, is modelled after real historical cities, and you'll also get to find wildlands and smaller towns scattered across the map. Now, one of the standout features is the ability to switch between single player and multiplayer modes at any given time. In single player mode, you will experience the story at your own pace, but multiplayer is where things get really interesting. In multiplayer mode, the game introduces interactive events and co-op mechanics. Players can join forces during world events. For example, if a meteor crashes into the land, it could trigger major changes in the environment. Think collapsing buildings, wildfires, or major quests that require teamwork and cooperation. There's also a support system where players can heal or assist each other in combat when a character is weakened or unbalanced. If you're into martial arts games or open world adventures with depth and style, there is definitely one to keep an eye on here. I remember seeing this, I think it may have been either at the Game Awards last year or possibly even last summer at the Game Fest, and thinking this game looks brilliant. So really looking forward to seeing and learning more about this game, hopefully over the course of this summer. What do you think? Let me know your comments down below and let's move on. So we haven't heard much about Marathon since the official announcement over a year ago, but that is about to change. We have seen social media posts from both PlayStation and Marathon about their marketing campaign for this Saturday. That's Saturday the 12th of April, where fans are hoping to finally see some gameplay and get answers about what the game is actually about. We do know that Marathon is described as an extraction shooter. Players jump into dangerous zones to complete objectives, kind of like how Escape from Tarkov is, or the Cycle Frontier, very similar type of extraction shooters. The game will feature characters known as runners, each with unique abilities and customization options. Bungie has also teased that player decisions will impact a persistent world, but how that works exactly hasn't actually been explained yet. Will it be like Destiny's evolving world events or something completely new? We just don't know. That's what everyone is eager to find out during the upcoming reveal this Saturday. One big piece of good news, I suppose, especially for PC players, is that Marathon will not require an account to play. That is a PSN account, unless you are on the PS5. This is a relief given how some recent multiplayer games like Helldivers 2 have locked out players in unsupported regions because of account requirements. Bungie's decision helps make the game more accessible to players worldwide. It is interesting that there is no PSN requirement for Marathon. Not that it bothers me, to be honest, I couldn't care less. But it looks like Sony is learning something from the Helldivers 2 fiasco and wants to ensure that as many players are available to play this live service game upon launch. After all, a live service game lives or dies by the number of players playing the game. What are your thoughts on this game? Are you playing it when it comes out? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about the topics discussed in the video today. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.